Hi guys, welcome to New Shades, and in today's video we are going to be recreating one of 5 Minute Crafts' 3D pop-up flower cards. We found this tutorial in one of their videos entitled 20 Beautiful and Easy Mother's Day Ideas. And out of all the ideas shown in this tutorial, this pop-up flower card was, in my opinion, by far the most impressive. So is this craft actually beautiful and easy? Let's find out. You'll need a pair of scissors, sticky note, at least one marker darker than your sticky note color, and a glue stick. As shown in the video, fold a sticky note in half along the diagonal, fold it in half once more, and for a third time fold it in half again. This next part was not included in the original video, but we felt it was crucial enough to mention. We're going to be trimming this triangle soon, and when we do, you're going to want to trim off the edges of the triangle that are able to be fanned apart as shown, not the other side. Next, we're going to get out our pair of scissors, and we're going to cut a little ice cream cone shape out of our triangle as shown in the 5 Minute Crafts video. And since we're so nice, we've provided a graphic that shows you how you want to trim this triangle. Now, you may think that we're going a little overboard with how much explaining we're doing, but trust me, these details are not hard to miss. After all, this wouldn't be a 5 Minute Craft video if the craft itself weren't 10 times harder than it actually appears on camera. Anyway, you're going to want to repeat this process 7 times to make 7 different flowers. Once you've made all 7 flowers, it's time to get coloring. As shown in the video, you're going to color the outside edges and inside of the flower, leaving 2 petals blank. You could color the whole flower if you want, but you won't be able to see these 2 petals later in the end product. Also, do not judge Umang's art skills, he's doing the best he can. Once you're done not being judged for doing the best you can, you're going to trim off one of the 2 petals. Then you're going to take a glue stick and liberally apply glue to the other blank petal. Now tuck the gluey petal behind the petal next to it to form your flower. Now repeat this process for all 7 flowers. Once you've finished with that, you should be left with, are those supposed to be poppies? Next, you're going to fold your flowers in half, and they should resemble, I don't know, clams? You'll need all your flowers in half to perform this next sort of ridiculously complicated task. 5 Minute Crafts adds dots to presumably show where they're adding adhesive, so we'll be doing the same. Take your sad excuse of a poppy and add glue to the bottom and top sectors of the clamshell. Take another diseased poppy and adhere both of the bottom sectors together. Then grab one more radioactive clam and repeat with the top sector. Your hodgepodge should resemble the flower you started with, but with 1 petal missing. Umang is adding 3 dots to the middle 3 sectors to show that's where we will be putting our adhesive. Do yourself a favor, take a shot whenever we say sector. Just kidding guys, get shit-faced tomorrow and respect your mothers. Anyway, you're gonna lay another clamshell directly on top of that adhesive in the center. Next, Umang is adding dots to the 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 5 o'clock sectors. Then as promised, we're gonna lather each of those specific sectors with glue. Lay another flower directly on the top of this hodgepodge and one directly on the bottom of this hodgepodge. Next, Umang will add dots to the middle 3 sectors, subsequently add glue, and finally lay the last flower on top of the adhesive. After all that work, you are now done, and you've created I don't know. What is that?
What?
No, seriously, what the hell is that? Come on, Lara, don't be rude. This is obviously a 5 Minute Craft masterpiece. And we're gonna frame this work of art by using a piece of construction paper folded in half hamburger-wise.
Hamburger-wise?
Yeah, hot dog and hamburger.
What?
It's a real thing. Umang is adding a dot to both sides of the flower on the center petal. He will then add adhesive to both of these petals so he is able to glue this flower to the construction paper. Once he's done adding the glue, he will take this flower and line up the bottommost petals with the crease of the fold. This should ensure that your flower will be able to unfold once you open the card. Now close the card and apply lots of pressure on both sides to make sure that your flower sticks. And as you can tell by our wild success, our card looks 10 times better than the 5-minute craft version, especially with the choice of the terribly made poppies and the Cheeto dust colored construction paper. All jokes aside, we seriously could not get our flower to open up the way that it did in the 5-minute craft video. And believe me, we're tugging on this thing pretty hard. Turns out we actually missed an extremely crucial step that the video isn't quite clear on. So if you're looking to recreate this craft at home, follow these guidelines. First things first, we wanted to improve on the wow factor of the flower by using multicolored stationery instead of using sticky notes. So we will be using these bright 4x4 squares. I'm going to briefly run through the steps one more time. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your squares and fold it in half along the diagonal. Then you're going to take that same square and fold it in half again. And for the third and final time, fold it in half to form this triangle. Before you trim your triangle, make sure that you're going to trim the right side. Trim the side where you're able to run your fingers and separate 3 individual triangles as shown below. This time, however, we're going to use a pencil and trace out that desired cone shape instead of trying to freehand it. Once we cut out our ice cream cone shape, the idea is to use it as a guide on the 7 other squares so that we will end up with identical looking flowers. Once we're done cutting out all of our flowers, we're going to use that pair of scissors to remove any one petal. Then I'm going to take my marker and mark the petal right next to the empty slot. Finally, I'm going to add glue there so I can tuck the petal on the other side of the empty slot right on top of the adhesive. Now I'm going to fold the whole affair in half and repeat with the 6 remaining flowers. So far, all of the steps have been pretty much identical, but here's where that crucial key difference comes in. In our first attempt when we were combining the flowers, we had applied glue all over the petals, but this could not be further from what you're supposed to do. We had interpreted 5-minute craft adding the dots as where you're supposed to add adhesive, but what we did not realize is you're only supposed to add adhesive to the very tips of the flowers. Since you could not actually see the woman in the video adding the adhesive to the petal, it was sort of difficult to determine where exactly they were adding the glue. Well, we're here to tell you that you're only supposed to add it to the tips. So I'm going to follow the exact same steps as done in the first attempt, with the exception of adding glue in the right spot. We're also going to aid in the drying process by adding a weight on top of our flower. This 3-wick candle will do, but any heavy object should work. I've taken this black piece of construction paper and decorated it with some of our scraps. This construction paper will be our card. It's finally time to add our flower to the inside of the card, and as you can see, this flower actually opens up, so that's a good sign. Anyway, the steps are exactly the same as before. I'm going to take my marker and mark the middlemost petal on both sides of the flower, because that's where I'll be adding our glue. This time, however, you don't have to worry about only getting the tip. I'm going to align the lowermost petals with the crease of the paper and close the card. Finally, I'm applying pressure to both sides. As you can see, I've decorated the card a bit more while it was drying, but now it's time for the final reveal. And other than the fact that the glue failed a little bit on one of the petals, it actually worked. The card opens and it pops out, and I don't have to tug that hard. I'm really happy I made the switch from the Post-it notes to the psychedelic paper because I really like rainbow, and I think the flower's overall more impressive. I liked it so much, in fact, that I did it again with different colored papers. And as you can see, this flower is actually popping out, and it folds no problem when you're done looking at it. This is probably the first time where I've recreated the craft, and I actually prefer my version to the one that was online. As for the integrity of the tutorial, well, I know that they technically showed you everything that you need to know, but they missed a very crucial point of clarification. They could have just said in 3 words, glue only tips, and I would have done just that. I don't see why they had omitted that very important detail. 5-Minute Crafts makes their videos for the purpose of going viral. I don't believe they make their videos in order to be instructional. I know whenever I watch a 5-Minute Craft video, I'm only watching because it looks good in the thumbnail. However, it still bothers me that they don't include the detail about adding glue on just the tips. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. If it's still Mother's Day where you are, we hope you have a very happy Mother's Day in quarantine and you treat your mom well. Bye for now, and we'll see you in our next video.